Real quick, I mean, clap if you've seen the full season. Okay. I'm not trying to get clipped for sharing spoilers.
Nah, you're good.
But anyways, before all that, you guys now have a historic collaboration. I want to know if there was a moment in particular, whether it's This Is Us, before that, elsewhere, where either of you realized, like, this is my guy.
That's funny. You probably...
I mean, I'd seen Sterling before we met on This Is Us, but Sterling came into my office one day. He had worked with the director of our pilot of This Is Us, our two directors, and he was carrying a football. And we didn't even read the scenes together, did we? We just chatted?
Not that first day. No, we just chatted.
And then
I love that you remember the football. Like, the football sticks out in your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was an affectation, actually. I was like, oh, he's trying to seem jockey or something. But I do remember in This Is Us, one of the first things we shot was, for anybody who watched that show, in the pilot, I originally wrote it more for cable at the time.
Yeah.
And so there were like 6 fucks and 12 shits in it. And then they were like, we're going to put it on network TV. And I realized there was no reason to try and be cooler than network TV with that particular show. And so I took out all the fucks. And there was one that killed me, which was, it was when Sterling goes to confront his birth father for the first time, and he gives this big monologue at his front door, and it ended with he says, I came here today to show you that I didn't need a fucking thing from you, even before I knew who you were. And I was like, oh, that one's gonna hurt. Like, losing that fuck to punctuate this long monologue. And I went down, and we were shooting in real downtown LA in a rough area, and Sterling did it, and as he took it out, and he was like, I didn't need a thing from you, and he was raging. Spit flew out of his mouth, and then he had a joke right after. And I think that was when I was like, oh, that's my guy. He's really good.
I appreciate that. I thought fuck really hard in my head as I was saying the line, so maybe it came across. That's very Chekhovian.
What was the moment you knew I was your guy, Sterling?
This is pretty easy. It was episode 5 of This Is Us. Like, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Now, my wife and I had like one of the best date nights that I can remember, going to see Crazy Stupid Love. So that was like one of the first times where I was like, oh man, we get a chance to meet the dude who did Crazy Stupid Love. This is amazing, right? But for the first episode, you read the pilot and it's like, oh, this is awesome. And then we as a cast, like episode 2 came. And we're like, have you guys read the episode? Like, it was this major scuttlebutt. And we did readings of each of the first 5 episodes. We did cast readings. A lot of shows will do cast readings, and then after number 5, Dan was like, we don't have time. Like, it's like, we gotta keep up with production, we gotta keep things moving and whatnot. But after 5, if you remember, episode 5, Kevin talks about how he makes a painting every time he does a new project, and how this painting sort of describes his life. Like, everybody comes into it, they leave their color, and even if they disappear, that color is still there. And it made me realize that, like, while Fogelman may not like outwardly express some sort of spirituality or something, like, this is a deeply soulful human being who uses his art to communicate that soulfulness. And I was like, this is somebody that I can be in communication, communion, and just creativity with for the rest of my life. So that episode in particular. Yeah.
I love that. Makes me feel a little bad to bring up that apparently Paradise wasn't the first thing that Dan hit you up about as This Is Us was ending, like, oh, maybe you would want to do this. And so I think what made Paradise the one to jump on, and Dan, are you pitching at that point like a log line, like here's the hook, or like here's 3 seasons I have mapped out?
No, I sent Sterling the script on this, the pilot script. I wrote it, and I was picturing him subconsciously. I mean, when Sterling finished This Is Us, I remember when he rapped, I kind of gave a little speech, and I was like, hey, Sterling, like, we were honored to, like, on behalf of all the crew, it was nice having a little time in the sun with you. Now go win your Oscars and make us famous. And then, like, a year later, I was sending him a script for another TV show. But so yeah, I just sent him the script and told him what it was about from there.
Yeah, it was the whole thing. I mean, he does this all the time, right? Like, you just write your thing. Right. So that people can just, like, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, then I'll take it somewhere else and then they'll like it. So I don't need your notes. I don't need any of that stuff. It's just this is the show that I want to do. The thing that he gave me before, it was like, it would have meant going immediately back into television. And it wasn't that I have no like sort of highfalutin ideas about television. I was tired. Like there was a little bit of fatigue of when you're doing, we were doing 18? Yeah. We were doing 18 episodes a season. It was like, you know what, I could use a little bit of a break. Because the pitch was, it's a really good one.
No, don't say it.
I won't say it, okay. It's a really good one, I won't say.
If you say it, they're gonna make me make
Yeah,
it.
no, I'm not gonna say anything.
But my pitch was an idea, and I was like, Sterling, how would you like to make like $1 gazillion? He's like, I'd love to, but I'm not ready yet. And I just had an idea, and then I shelved that.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. It is a good idea. Yeah.
How early, too, were you guys on the same page about shooting in LA? And unfortunately, that's not too common nowadays. And with that comes challenges. Like, what were some of the challenges early on in making that decision?
There's no real challenge. I mean, everything about shooting in LA is better if your show can be set in LA. The craftspeople are better. You have a larger community. It's where we all live. The bad part is it's just more expensive. It's only about money. That's the only down. I mean, if you're trying to shoot a show that's set in Pittsburgh, in Los Angeles, like we did on This Is Us, it presents challenges, but really the challenge is just the money. You lose millions of dollars an episode on screen to pay for being in Los Angeles. So all it did here was we had to be really methodical about how we were going to shoot this television show. Sterling and I both have young families, and we were like, he was like, where's it shooting? I said, Los Angeles. I wanted to be here. He said, I need to be in Los Angeles. I said, make sure you make that part of your demands. You're Sterling, you'll get it. And that's why we're here. 3 years, we're about to be starting our 3rd season of this show, and we're here because
don't put that. They still got a green light us, but yeah, we'll be shooting the green light.
So yeah, that was it. I mean, when you have somebody that carries the weight Sterling does, and
stop putting the weight on me. You're a big deal, Dan Fogelman. Daniel Eric Fogelman tries to underplay how big of a deal. Go see his house. You can't underplay that shit.
But that was why we just asked for it and we got it, and then you figure out how to do it. But I've done a bunch, almost all my shows in New York, in Los Angeles. I have Only Murders in New York right now. But when you're in Los Angeles, people will come. I mean, just the pool of actor, the pool of craftspeople, it's enormous. And you go to these other cities and you're like, you got to get lucky and get one of the 2 crews, one of the 3 crews, one of the 4 crews. And there's an influx of things shooting in Ireland and Australia and all these places right now. And so it's we see it. We're on the Paramount lot for the past decade. It's quiet out there.
We got to try to keep as much production here so that people stay. It's an expensive city, and it's way too expensive a city to live and not work. So, is the football show? Where's it gonna shoot?
In Los Angeles.
Good for you. Okay, good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
No, because I asked too, because I heard as well, like you're shooting on the Paramount lot now, but Paramount is not the only lot that you guys shot on.
No, let's see. Part of Paradise is on the back lot of Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers. Then we shot one. We had base camp at Fox one time. We shot at CBS Radford one time. We take all the studios. That's what Dan does. But then also to get the tax incentive, you have to shoot like a certain amount of days within a 40, 60 mile.
Yeah, there's I think it's 45 or something miles.
So there's times like I'm in LA, but like that drive home on Friday day, where you let the windows all the way down and be like, yes, Jesus, let me make it home, God. Like it's real. It's real.
Oh my God. Well, because like I said, I was saying to its benefit, like I wonder with the initial twist of the show, my brain is so broken that I already kind of knew what was going down because I'm like, that's the Gilmore Girls set.
Right, sure.
And so I'm wondering if that was like a purposeful Easter egg that you knew people were going to be like, I know where he is. No. Not them using this again. And then you watch the show and it's like, this is amazing.
No, I wasn't aware. Ironically, one of the writers who was first on board and helped me figure out this series on our show is a writer named Scott Weinger, who was originally one of the stars of the show Full House and then Fuller House. He was a child star.
Voice of Aladdin.
Voice of Aladdin. He wrote our Billy Pace episode of this season, of the first season that we watched. He's a great writer. But I think at one point, what did he say? He was like, hey, I forget what it was, but he's like, hey, just a heads up. One of the sets from Full House is in Paradise. Like, and I was like, oh shit. But I mean, yeah, that is part of shooting in Los Angeles. You get some iconic stuff that's not meant to be there.
So not only are you the star, but you are joined by Emmy nominee Julianne Nicholson.
Yes.
Emmy nominee James Marsden.
Yes.
And I heard you talking a little bit last week, Sterling, about in being a producer on this show, part of it, in your particular case, is being involved in casting.
Yeah.
And so what did it look like sort of knowing that they were the right people for the job? I wonder, does This Is Us 2, is that what kind of sets the barometer for knowing who you guys want to work with?
I think Dan and I both enjoy being in an environment where we're happy to be there. And so talent is always, first and foremost, but who you are as a human being is probably right there with it, if not superseding it by a little bit. The days are too long. The days are too long to be with somebody like, oh, they're really good, but what a effing D-bag is so-and-so, right? In both Julianne and James's case, like, they have incredible reputations as actors, but also really wonderful people to be around, which I need to say, because like a lot of people think, is Julianne nice? Julianne is like the sweetest person in the whole wide world. That's how good of an actor she is, because I want to shoot Sinatra. I don't want to shoot Julianne, just to be clear. So yeah, like and Dan has really wonderful ideas, and he'll say stuff, and usually it's like a veto thing. Do I think this person is right or wrong or whatnot? And only on the rarest of occasions be like, are you sure? And then sometimes it goes a different way, and sometimes he'll be like, are you right? We definitely dodged the bullet, right? So yeah.
I always, on the show, for instance, I always, with the kind of bigger name actors, I always talk to Sterling about it. I was like, hey, we're going to make an offer to so-and-so or Julianne or James. And then in the case of people who are reading and auditioning, I would always send it to Sterling first for his instincts and make sure that nothing rubbed on. Sterling does lead from, I honestly think, because he's worked with all fine people, the finest of actors, but I think your probably go-to thing is, you're like, Marsden's going to be great as the president, but I think you lead with like, oh, he's the greatest guy. Like,
yeah.
It's a place I think we both, like, just at this point of our lives and careers, we just don't have it in us to work with somebody who's just a pain in the ass every day. It's just like, no. And that eliminates like 95% of people in Hollywood, but we find the 5%.
Well, most people, you know what I find? Like, just speaking to that, and I'm sure you guys probably find the same sort of thing. Like, most people are genuinely good people, and most, like, sort of douchiness is born out of insecurity. It's sort of covering up your own, like, do I fit, do I belong? And so maybe if I make somebody else feel bad, they won't notice that I'm actually not what I pretend to be. And when people are secure in themselves, I think everybody's pretty cool.
Well, I also think, I've gained a new appreciation for actors since This Is Us started, and I've been asked to do this kind of stuff on occasion. Yeah. Like, even if you're trained for it, or even if you want it, like, the vulnerability that comes from this, for me, like, I just hate, like, I enjoy talking to people, but like, posing on those carpets and things, you're just like I can't figure out how to sit in this fucking chair right now. I think the actors who do misbehave do it out of insecurity. It doesn't happen on our shows. Right. And it is a very vulnerable place to be, just standing there with other people standing behind something looking at you, and you're like, am I doing this right? When they're whispering back there, do they not like what I'm doing? Does this look insane, crossing my legs like this? Like, there's a lot going on, and I think it does come out of insecurity.
Yeah, so, I would agree.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job, though.
Thanks, Sterling.
You're
I appreciate it.
Again, kind of hearing sort of how you all talk about each other, I think, Dan, you see Sterling as someone who can kind of do it all. Is there any sort of sense of like, this is how I'm going to push him with something like this that's so different from your This Is Us collaboration?
No, I don't. That's a good question. I don't think so. I think it's more that I don't worry about anything I'm writing for him ever. You just don't worry about it, and you know that he'll find his way around it. I never think about it. I frankly don't think about it a lot for most of the actors I choose, who I believe in, but Sterling, like, I mean, I've been saying we wrap season 2 of Paradise tomorrow, actually, believe it or not. And so and so. But in the I've been saying the second episode of the show is a really great example, and I've been talking about Sterling in that it's kind of split. It's very much a Sterling-centric episode, and the second episode of next season, in half the episode in the present day, he's in a really hardcore like action movie. It's like old school, kind of quiet, muscular action star he's bloody and doing a lot of shit. But then in the past backstory, it's like an old school romantic comedy. It might as well be like a classic Richard Curtis movie, or Crazy Stupid Love. And they go back and forth, and it's at an earlier time in his life in the past before the world ended, and then obviously in the present. And it's so seamless, and he's doing two different things that nobody can do one of them. You know what I mean? Like, good luck finding somebody who can do the action part of it, but then the person who can do the rom-com, and this very charming, it's like a charm offensive. But yeah, so it's an example of you don't limit yourself with him because he can do anything, and so that's a really exciting thing to have.
Yeah, Sterling, you got to gas yourself up. Is there a favorite sort of scene or moment? Either you're proud of how it was received, or you're proud of like there was a challenge behind the scenes, and so
from season one.
Yeah.
You know what? I actually really like. Xavier on the plane, like there's the argument right before with the president before they get on the plane, and then just sort of like seeing someone deal with like their life irrevocably changing, you know what I'm saying? The person who they've leaned on most being gone or whatnot, and that sort of fine line of vulnerability but trying to keep it together for your kids, right? And then like when he has that final phone call with her and like watching the bomb, like as an audience member, I was like, oh, that shit hurts. Like that shit hurt a lot. But it was fun to shoot. Like it was fun to shoot with James because like I love him and I think he loves me. I don't want to presume too much. And I remember like there'd be days where I was like, oh, I have to be very pissed at James today. And I don't like necessarily, like even at the beginning of Sinatra and Xavier, like when I'm about to go pew pew, about to kill you, chick. Like I was like, I said, Julianne, I can't talk to you today.
Yeah.
Right. I do one step. I was listening to Denzel today talk about working with Jeffrey's son in this new Spike flick, and he's like, I just don't talk to him until like when I meet you is when I meet you on the set, right? I'm not quite that hardcore. Like I have to like say hi to you, and then I'll be like, hi, and now I can't talk to you. And they'll be like, oh, okay. So I'll go away like that. But those two conflicts are fun to do because you have such inherent trust for the person that you're working with that they're not gonna take anything personally, right? That the love between you exists in such a way that you can go as deep in the opposite direction as necessary and you have that thing to come back to. So like, those two are a lot of fun.
With something like this where there's twists and turns, and I believe you said it's a 3-season framework, how much of it is sort of set in stone, or what are the moments where things can kind of change up a little, and are you kind of open to a lot of the feedback that these actors are bringing? If there's any, maybe they don't have it. Maybe they're like, this script's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we don't... the actors will ask questions more than give feedback. It's not like they come in and say, I don't want to do this, or I think there's a great level of trust that comes with it. And if Sterling's not questioning everything, I think everybody will follow that lead and not want, but there's certainly a comfortable enough space. We have, always 2 writers who have been with the show and are always on set. And I'm sure they're in constant conversations with the actors when they're lost in a moment or not understanding something. But we don't get a lot of that. We're open. In terms of what we know, like in this first season, like I knew what the final shot of the first season would be and what the opening shot would be, what the end of the pilot would be. Most people have watched the first season now, so is it spoilers? But like there was a death of a character in the middle of the season that was maybe in my mind's eye a little later in the season. I was like, oh, it'll be more shocking to pull it up and it will be a good midpoint for us. So there's movement inside of that, but I knew what the opening of the season 2 was going to be and what the end of season 2 was going to be. You can make anything, if you have talented people around us, you can make things special. And the hardest thing that comes is with indefinite time, too much time, too much brainstorming, too much just kind of open, and it turns into like quicksand and you kind of get stuck in it and then you're doing a bunch of things. So I've always found it valuable to kind of have a plan and then charge my writers and myself with figuring out how to work inside of those lines as much as possible.
Yeah.
I think one of the greatest pivots you pulled off on This Is Us with season 5, which was COVID, and sort of like allowing the show to address what was happening in the world regarding Black Lives Matter and COVID, but still stay on track with the overall theme of the show. That was awesome, dude. Like I thought it was really, we got probably more like online chatter for that first episode of 5, for better and for worse, which meant that people were still watching and they still cared. So that was,
it turned
that was
out
good.
COVID and race were polarizing issues in this country.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Do tell,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
O tribe of Jacob, let us know.
It was a real shock.
Happy to dive a little more into that, but real quick, Sterling, especially since you're an executive producer as well, do you want to know about sort of what's going on with Xavier 3 seasons out, or are you like...
Yeah, I know how the show ends, for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there people on set that are like, I don't want to know until I'm like day before coming
I've
to
had
set?
people like that. I mean, actors like that as well. Like our friend Justin Hartley, who was on This Is Us. Yeah. He's like, I don't want to know. Yeah. You know, he'll be talking to you up until 1 second before they say action for the most part, and then he's crying, and you're like, how did he just do that? Bobby Cannavale is an actor I worked with who works that way as well. Yeah, but Sterling easily knows. Sterling comes into the writer's room a lot. He did on This Is Us probably the most, and also on this show a lot. And he will constantly get pitched where we're at with the season and whatnot. And Sterling's the best audience. And the first time he ever came in and did it, like we hit the twist, some twist in the first season we were pitching him. And Sterling has big reactions, and he like just threw his hands up in the air, walked out of the room, and all the writers were like nervous, like, did he hate that? Did he like? And I'm like, no, he's happy. He's happy. That's what he does when he's happy.
It's true. Like,
I like the story that you thought he said amen when he was agreeing to the show.
Yeah. When I first pitched the show to Sterling, I think you keep saying it was a voice note when we tell the story, but I think it was actually a phone call. You were sick. And I sent him the script. And he's like, I go, what'd you think? He called me that night. And I was like, what'd you think? And he's like, it's really good, Dan. Where does it go? And I started pitching him. And then I was like halfway through. I was like, and then in season 2, and it's 3 seasons. It'll be here in Los Angeles. And in season 2, this is what happens. In season 3, this is what happens. And he said, amen. And I was like, ah. And so
what I actually said was, I'm in. But Dan thinking that, it was like, well, I guess this is something black people do now that I have to make myself familiar with. I was like, come on, bro. I'm in. I can see how it sounds like it now, as soon as I just said, yeah.
I think it fits. I am happy to agree with stuff. Amen. Talking about those episodes, season 5, This Is Us, that's a little bit more explicit, but like, I wanted to know, why do you think this show has resonated, and sort of what you hope audiences are taking away from it? Because people have already pointed out, sort of, even though there's like a sci-fi aspect to it, there are some real life parallels. Like at this point, is it sci-fi? I don't know.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. I rarely like, I don't think I am artistic enough to sit down and think about what I'm trying to say. I just tend to write things. Yeah. This show landed how I hoped it would land, which was I wanted to make a big piece of popular entertainment that was propulsive and at times really like edge of the seat, at times emotional. I wanted it to speak to a wide audience and get people like talking. I wanted to see if we could capture a sliver of conversation that doesn't happen that much anymore on television. There are huge societal issues about wealth inequality and climate change and all of these things, but I think that's why the idea kind of jumped to the forefront of what I was going to write next, but it wasn't like I was trying to make a message piece about it. And I think that is what wound up being interesting about it, was that there was no intent to necessarily sell a message. It was to tell a story and then let people interpret the message.
No, totally, because even sort of, we're talking kind of on a grand scale, but even thinking about sort of the implications of like Sterling, your Secret Service for a white president. Yeah. And there's nothing sad about that, but I do think the audience picks up that there is a unique dynamic.
And I think that was something I want, like in This Is Us, we Sterling's character in the show at large, we spoke our subtext out loud, right? It was in monologues. We were very clearly stating our messages, our life theories, our life, we would speak them.
Sure.
And this is a show more where, exactly as you said, there's a black Secret Service agent to a white president of immense wealth and power, but we don't. And while it's lightly commented upon, it's left to the audience to kind of interpret that relationship and the friendship. Do I like this? Does something about it make me uneasy? Does it make me happy? And we never kind of told the audience how to feel on this show. We let people interpret it a little bit more.
Agreed. But I also do like the little lines that we did sort of pop in there. He's like, I got you because you're black. And I was like, I don't know if that's sending the liberal message that you think it is, having a black man watch your back. And he's like, well, I got other black people, but you're the one that people are going to see and stuff. Like, I appreciated him being upfront and out with it so that it wasn't just happenstance. It's like, I'm making a choice, and I know that I'm making a choice. Are you down with that choice, But
it's also little things. I was just snuck in the back at the end of the episode because I was realizing this might be my last chance to watch this one on like a bigger screen. And I was noticing even when the president is saying goodbye to the people on the other plane, he says, and the plane's going down, he's like, good luck, gentlemen. And he was talking to the Joint Chiefs and it was all men. I don't think I'd consciously noted it up until this moment sitting in the room. I was like, oh, that's fucked up and weird and probably relatively accurate to what's going on in our world right now.
I'll do you one better, bro, because I believe Brown clocks it. And the people who were building Paradise in episode 8.
Yeah.
We also originally had in the backstory of that, we had talked about them having used local prison labor, and that's how the bad guy got into the thing, and we kind of bailed away from that, but we kept that idea. We just didn't talk about it out loud. And so we were trying to always play in that kind of stuff about, it's socioeconomic inequality,
who's
it's racial inequality, who's expendable.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we just wanted to make also a really fun watch. You know what I mean?
Well, I was going to say, Sterling, I'm sure you get people running up to you. What are like the best reactions to people reacting to the show?
There's a couple of different things. So I'll compare and contrast between This Is Us. This Is Us is like, my girlfriend loves your show. My wife loves your show. Dude, my mom watches your show. Now dudes would be like, yo, I fucks with Paradise, bro. Which is cool because I also know they watch This Is Us. They just had to couch it like it was their girlfriend, right?
They would always be like, my girlfriend really loves your
Totally.
show. She especially loved the episode where Randall went to his father and did that, and you're like, whoa, what's going on?
You're getting real specific for your girlfriend, homie.
Can you sign this for her? Her name is Tim.
So there is that. I think they love the turns and everything and just not knowing where it was gonna go. People would constantly ask me through the season, like, do you know who killed him? I was like, yeah, I know. And they're like, you gonna tell me? I'm like, no, I'm not gonna tell you. But like, I think that it was a satisfying sort of answer for them while not being what they thought it was going to be. I guess I have to talk about my butt for just a second in episode 3.
This is the place to do it.
Though. Just a second. I want to thank Peloton for coming into my life and making sure that gravity has to fight. Gravity's got to fight to take me down. That's that. Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, that's why you guys are nominated for Outstanding
I guess so.
But before we go, you guys are almost done shooting season 2. Is there anything you can tease? What are you excited about, even if it's like conceptual?
I'm excited for them to meet Shailene's character. Shailene Woodley joins us in season 2. And again, just in keeping with what we said about Julianne and James, like, what a wonderful woman. Like, I had such a great time working with her, getting to know her as a human being and having a friend that, like, I enjoyed getting to play with in front of the camera. So that's something that I'm really excited about. I'm excited, like, we've seen how things have gone down inside the bunker with people who've had opportunity, access to information and resources to deal with what eventually happened to the world. And so now you get a chance to see how other people who did not have the same sort of preparation and or resources at their disposal, how they deal with things as well. Because we will meet some people. That's not a spoiler. We're gonna meet people outside of the bunker. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, it's the new cast is really exciting that joins the show. Shailene, there's a young actor named Thomas Doherty who's really exceptional.
Girls know who Thomas is.
Yeah.
I found out.
Right.
Yes, there you go. You know what I'm about to say.
Very handsome.
Like for me and Dan was like, oh, this guy's great. Where's he been? And like my old assistant, who's 27, she's like, is Thomas really gonna be on the show?
Yeah.
She knew.
He's a descendant. He was in the Gossip Girl throuple.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've since learned.
Yeah. He's very dreamy and he's a very good actor.
He's a very good actor. Very good actor.
And an actor named Cameron Britton has joined our show this year. If
Yeah.
anybody watched Mindhunters, Fincher's thing, he I think nominated for Emmys for that.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable. But the show's really big and sprawling. The scope of it. We're finishing right now tomorrow the last block of 2 episodes, our finale. And I was talking to our producer today, and we feel like we'll see how it all turns out. But we accomplished like the scope of like on a modest television budget of like a $50 million movie. We think for the final episode. We didn't spend that, but that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
So it's really big and ambitious, and I think, there's 2 types of shows, and they both really work for me right now. And one is the kind which is your comfort food, where you're just continually given a good quality version of that old school comfortable meal that you want. And then there's the shows that shake it up every year, and it's like a different show that gives similar kind of hopefully edge of your seat, emotion and that kind of stuff, but in a completely different way. So I'm excited by that challenge to kind of tell our audience, okay, now here's where we're going, and it's a little bit different.
Yeah. I'm extremely excited for it. Are you guys? All right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you guys one more time. Give it up for Dan and Sterling.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys very much.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Marcus.